Hey, so I just wanted to make this video to go over how I typically go about doing SEO for B2B SaaS. So in this video, I'm just going to cover what you need to know, what you should be focusing on, and kind of why you have to separate SEO, traditional SEO from how you focus on SEO for, I mean, specifically B2B, but definitely B2B SaaS as well. Um, you'll see with most traditional advice, it's going to be a little bit different than what we're focusing on. So I'm just going to explain a few reasons why and basically everything you need to know about it. So let's just jump right in. So I guess the reason or the thing I want to start off with is just how SEO is different when you're doing it for a B2B company or versus just traditional SEO. And the reason that is because there's just usually a higher, more complex version of the buyer's journey when it comes to a B2B SaaS. Um, so instead of it just being a landing page that I land on, I need the product, and I just purchase it directly. There's more of a buyer's journey that we have to nurture our audience throughout. So it's not like local SEO where if I'm just looking for a plumber, I'm just going to look in plumber in Philadelphia, and usually the first one that comes up is going to be the one that I choose. Obviously, I'm going to look at reviews. I'm going to look at a few other things to really make sure I'm getting the best bang for my buck. But usually, maybe it's like a 30-minute process all in. But when we're talking about a B2B SaaS company, and obviously not every company is going to be the same. Some are going to have a higher spending requirement. Others are going to be pretty small, where you really don't have that complex sales cycle or complex buyer's journey. They just going to find your product and sign up for it. But whatever it is, there is a little bit more nurturing involved when it comes to doing SEO for B2B SaaS. Um, and really, the thing that you want to focus on is making sure that you're covering every touch point throughout your audience's buyer's journey. So instead of it just being one singular page that you're trying to rank for, or like a money keyword that you want to rank for, instead you want to find the keywords that are going to kind of be engaged or kind of engage them throughout that journey, starting with when they're not aware of the problem, to when they're problem aware, to when they're solution aware, and then when they're most aware. So basically, when they're not familiar with your brand, when they're in that stage when they're considering your brand, so the that consideration stage, and then finally that bottom stage, the decision part, when they really make that ultimate decision of if they want to sign up for your product or not. Obviously, there's that like really tiny piece at the very end of it that's loyalty, which is retention. And I'll probably touch on that just a little bit. Obviously, we don't only want to focus on client acquisition. We also want to retain our users. We want them to stick around with our platform, and we don't want them to churn. But really, the focus of this video is going to be more on acquisition versus retention. So yeah, let me start right in. So I have right here User Pilot, which is probably going to be the company that I use the most as an example for this. And really, the thing I always encourage people to start with is audience research. So before like you do anything with SEO, you have to have a solid understanding of who your audience is. Um, as I mentioned before, we want to make sure that we cover that entire buyer's journey. We're like nurturing them at every touch point. So if you want to be able to nurture them at every touch point, you have to understand who that person is and how they're basically going through that journey. And what better way to learn about that than to actually interview the person that you're basically trying to market yourself to. So usually, I always recommend people start with some kind of audience research just to get a better idea of who they're trying to market to. And I mean like decision maker, your persona, whoever it is, like the person who will ultimately be making that final decision to sign up for your product. Those are the people you want to market to. You can also market to people that are ultimately going to influence a decision maker's decision. Like if you are in the SEO software, I'm just going to use Ahrefs as an example. Ahrefs typically isn't marketing themselves to HR departments or whoever is making the purchase to purchase that tool. They're marketing themselves to SEO specialists who want to be using that tool. So really, they're the ones that are the influencing factor. And then the decision makers are the person that's ultimately using their funds to pay for it. So sometimes it's going to be the SEO manager, sometimes it's going to be the finance or the accounting department or HR, whatever it is. Really just want to make sure that you're one targeting that like ideal like influencer, the person who's going to flip that light switch and make sure that your product is the one they want to sign up for. And then ultimately the person that is going to make that final decision of whether that product is right for your team or not. Um, so after that kind of long rant, um, there's just a few ways that I like to do audience research. I mean, I think the easiest is to just basically just talk to them while you have them. So I typically recommend doing it when you do that book a demo call. So if it's your product demo team and they come on, you want to at least kind of show them or kind of talk to them about what their problems are, why they're ultimately requesting a demo, and then what they're hoping to solve once they have access to this tool. So they have some kind of a problem that they're looking to fix. This is why they're scheduling the demo to see if this could be a possible solution. So your job should just basically be to mine why they're taking that initial step. What is that pain point that they're really that initial pain point that caused them to reach out in the first place? You'll probably be surprised by the amount of people or the amount of reasons that you'll be able to get from it. And then if you also want to resonate with your audience better, you also want to ask the follow-up question of what they hope to achieve with the software as well too. So instead of it just being, oh, what problem you have, now it's okay, this is the desired goal that you want from using this product too. So not only do you understand this, the specific problem that they have, you can also understand what they're hoping to achieve too. So you can kind of blend that into your own content so you can make it so that um, they'll basically resonate with what you're saying more. So just something to consider. So you can do this with your demos. Also show a few other ways that you can use this. You can also look at reviews too. So I typically recommend using G2, and you can just see what people are saying about your app, like ultimately what they're using the app for, and then what they're ultimately trying to achieve with it. So in the case of User Pilot, boosting user engagement, you can find a few negatives too. So if there's a common review that people are calling out, it can either be something that you would want to fix, or at least build out content to educate your audience on. Sometimes it's going to be like specific, like internal complaints that they have where it's really not something that SEO can fix. But if it's a like a retention aspect and something where they're not familiar with how to use your tool, and that's kind of being like a frustration to them, you can at least create content that kind of shows them what they should be doing when they're using your tool or specific ways to use your tool. So if they ever reach that point where they're kind of like stumped and they can't figure out what they should be doing, you can at least find your content that answers whatever problem they may have, and then kind of reduces that like building frustration, so they don't end up looking for alternatives and then leaving your product for another competitor because they couldn't figure out what they wanted to do with your product. So I mean that's more of the retention side, but still something just to keep in mind when you are doing this is really what do they hope to achieve, and then once they are using the product, what are they like if there's any pain points that they're coming across. So you can use G2 to kind of find out both of those. So what the initial problem is, what they hope their solution is going to be, and you can see that most of them have like specific questions that they ask, like what do you dislike about User Pilot, what do you like best about User Pilot, and then this will kind of give you an idea of like what um, well, this one is probably even the best right here. What problem is User Pilot solving, and how is that benefiting you? And sure enough, you have an answer right here. And they do this for every single question. So if you want, let's see, if you want 307 reviews coming straight from your audience talking about what they like from your product and what problems they're trying to solve, that's like basically a gold mine right there. So something just to keep in mind, and also use your sales team to get involved too. So obviously, I mentioned the product demo team can kind of be that way to mine what your audience is looking for and kind of how you can market to them. But you can also get your sales team involved too. So you can see in Monday.com's case, they do offer a product demo. You can get started with a free trial, or you can contact sales specifically if you're looking for a more enterprise solution. And you can see in the contact form, they're basically mining the questions themselves. So they have all of these fields that they're answering, and then at the very bottom, how can our team help you? This is probably going to tell us like what they're hoping to achieve with Monday.com, and that could basically be a whole like wealth of information on its own. And the more data you're able to get from this, the more you can basically make your content effective with what you're trying to show to your audience. So the more you can resonate with your audience, the more effective your overall SEO and content is going to be. So um, basically, it's a little bit of a rant right there, but before you start with anything SEO, the very first thing you want to start with is audience research, and then the rest is pretty much just going to fall into place. So next thing I'll just be talking about is some of the tips you'll want to keep in mind with SEO and how you can find keywords that you'll want to optimize for. So one of my personal favorites for keyword research is always going to be Google Search Console. And to me, this is basically the best way to get keyword data from your audience. One, you're going to have access to more keyword data, and two, it's going to be more accurate with what you're seeing. I mean, this data is basically first-hand data coming from Google. So even if you use a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush, the data isn't always going to be as exact compared to Google Search Console, where really what you're seeing is what is actually being searched out there. Um, when I'm looking in Google Search Console, there's really a few ways that I can kind of take a look at what I'm trying to find. And um, with what I see, what I usually look for are different types of queries. So the first one I usually look up is just software keywords. So these are going to be our initial product pages that we want to build out. Maybe we don't have a page dedicated to it, or maybe we do have a page, but it's not necessarily ranking as well. These are usually the first pages that we're going to want to focus on. You can see in this case, just from the keyword software, there's almost 500 keywords that we could focus on here. And like SMS blasting software, restaurant texting software, mass texting software. And these are basically searches coming directly from our audience looking for the exact type of software that we offer. So this is probably a type of keyword that we want to make sure that we have visibility for. Just making sure we show up for it, and then when they land on our page, we basically give them all of the information that they're looking for. So we're making it easier for them to convert in the end. So I always like to look at software, but then another variation of keywords I just like to consider are how. Usually, how-to keywords I find are the best way to kind of like integrate your product or kind of take that product-led approach with your content, and how to send mass text messages, how to send continuous text messages, how to text blast. Like all of these are topics that are relevant to the software that we're offering. So now it's just a matter of showing them how they can accomplish this, but also showing them an alternative that is our product with how they could achieve this. So you don't only want to make it specifically about your product. I mean, people are just going to get frustrated and leave when they see that. You want to at least deliver on their intent of what they're looking for, and then kind of show them how they can do this with your product. So you don't want to give them like one specific outlet that's just only your product and there's no other ways of doing things. So make sure you're helpful with showing them how they can accomplish what they're looking for, but then also show them this is what your product does as well, and then this would be considered a better alternative. One, it's more helpful to the user reading the content, and two, I mean, you don't want to like create any kind of bad impression. So at least create that helpful content, allow them to make the decision for themselves, and then you're basically not like kind of like being too salesy with your content. So if you're in Google Search Console, always check out how keywords, always check out software. You're going to find a wealth of data in here. And even if you hit this, you can see down here that there is a 1,000 row limit. And if you're in the actual dashboard, you can only get to 500. There is a Looker Studio dashboard where you can actually get access to even more keyword data. You can bypass the 1,000 row limit. And even in some cases, like I've seen where we only have 1,000, but I was able to get like 75,000 keywords. Not that you really need that many, but there is a Looker Studio dashboard that will allow us to get more keyword data. So I will put that in the description of this video, and it's completely free. You don't have to sign up or anything for it. It's just free to use for everyone. So another method of keyword research that you're probably familiar with is Ahrefs. To me, this is probably the easiest way to kind of have everything all in one place. You can see search volume, different questions, variations of keywords, and then typically the ones that are ranking for these keywords. I will just say that it is very easy to get caught up in this, and especially with keyword volume, that's not something you really want to focus on as much. You really want to understand the intent behind each search. So if someone's looking up for a project management tool, I mean that one's pretty obvious. What is project management? You want to get to the point with that one. What keywords are going to be more definition based? But if we're looking at how keywords, and let's just say we're just looking at project management, then it should be easier for us to integrate our product into that type of search. And it's just a matter of understanding the intent behind each search. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is don't focus on keyword volume to go after these topics, and don't even focus on KD. I mean, obviously, if it's like sauna, like that's not you're not going to outrank their own brand name. You got to be pretty realistic in that case. But just look through these keywords, see which ones would be the most relevant for you, and then kind of build content around that if it is relevant. And that's kind of why I was really highlighting audience research before. You really want to focus on the keywords that will have the most impact and really is along that buyer's journey that you can kind of highlight the pain point that they have, and then you can offer your product as a solution. So don't focus on volume, focus on what's right for your audience, and as I'll probably keep saying, the rest will fall into place. Um, Another thing that you can consider, and this is probably one of my favorite ways of doing this, is that you can also use Reddit to define some of these keywords. So you can either do Reddit project management to find these keywords. I also sometimes like to do site site or search operator. So site, Reddit, and then project management, which will give me access to more to keyword data. But from this, you can at least see some of the common pain points that are actually coming from our audience, and then just seeing what they're commonly saying about this. So, um, seeing like getting into a project management role. I mean, these are mostly talking about people becoming a project manager, like tips, tricks, and tools. Like you can probably look at this article or this post, see what common pain points are. Project management. What do you use? Why are they using those tools? Basically, using each response to see kind of like dive in deep into what each specific pain point is. Um, and then lastly, you can also use Google just to find out what you're looking for too. So there are a few ways to do this, and personally, I think auto suggest and people also ask are my favorite ways to go about this. I mean, it's entirely free, and you can get like a wealth of keyword data from this. So auto suggest, if I'm just looking at project management, I can see all of these different variations of keywords um, that I could consider. So all of these are like really small keywords where it's kind of hard to understand the intent behind all of them. But if you want to make it a little bit more specific, you could add a how at the beginning of your search, and then this should filter it out a little bit more. So, how important is project management? How to get into project management? Um, just different variations of that search, and you can do the same thing for like what or why or when, whatever type of keyword that you're trying to go after. And then we also have people also asked at the bottom. This is good for one, including in your own content, and then also targeting with individual content. Basically, Google is showing people also ask because they kind of anticipate that these are the follow-up questions that people are going to ask when they just search project management. So if I do like something more specific that is like what is project management, then I'm pretty sure the next one is going to be like what exactly does a project manager do? What are the four types of project management? What is the main purpose of project management? So from a search like this, these are the follow-up questions that Google kind of anticipates. So you can either include this in your content to kind of build relevancy around your content and kind of match that relevancy that Google is expecting here, or you can at least have each one covered with content. I mean, as long as they don't cannibalize each other and they're all kind of lead to unique searches. I mean, all of these will kind of build topical authority, which really is showing that you're an authority on a specific topic you're trying to cover. So you can basically click on these as many times as you want, and you'll notice each time that you click on them, there's going to be more of them that come up. So if you're just trying to gauge like all these different types of topics that are relevant, you're just going to have endless ideas. Like this does not stop generating at all. So just generated like 15 right here. So you have like endless topics that you can consider here. Um, so now, if we're actually talking about how we should go about optimizing our content, there are a few content types that you'll probably want to keep in mind. Specifically, one thing I always just like to encourage brands to focus on is making sure that we have sales enablement content on the website first. So if someone's like researching us, we want to make sure that we have case studies that show of what the product is capable of and why they should ultimately choose this one. I mean, Monday.com has the brand awareness, so they probably aren't going to highlight it as much. So let me see if I can find an alternative. So basically, what I was saying here was that you want to have some type of sales enablement content on the website. So even before you go through with SEO, you want to make sure that you have as much to influence that like last decision as possible. So case studies, what makes us different, what we do, why we consider ourselves the best. So that's not even really a type of SEO. That's more of conversion rate optimization. And kind of continuing off conversion rate optimization, make sure you have your product demo options set. They're easy to get to. Same thing with free trials. Your pricing page, you got to make that easy to get to. I mean, in this case, I can't find their pricing page. They may have a pricing page, but we don't really know. They don't list their pricing. So that is something I typically recommend that companies avoid. Just so if they're considering you, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to basically for them to consider your product and not move on to another competitor that has more information about them. Um, but moving to the next step about topics that we'll want to focus on, this is a personal favorite for mine, which is comparison content. You can see that Bamboo is doing this right here too, which is them comparing themselves to another competitor. So in this case, it's Gusto. This is basically the like very final search that people are going to do before they sign up for a product. They went through their entire buyer's journey, and now they're at that point where they're considering two products, and they're just trying to see who the ultimate best option is. And you can see in this case, this is Bamboo HR basically pitching themselves and saying, "This is why we want you to choose us over the competition." Because if you don't do this, I mean, your competitor is going to do it, and they're basically going to use that as their chance to control the narrative around their product. Basically, just dragging you through the mud without you having a way to respond and kind of play defense a little bit. So in this case, you can at least control the narrative and highlight kind of negative features about their product while also showing why you would consider your product to be a better solution too. So it's a little back and forth there, but if you don't have a page dedicated to this, this is a very easy opportunity for your competitors to kind of hit like a pain point for you and steal away customers who were considering your product but ultimately got pulled away by that final step. Another thing that you'll want to consider is alternatives, which is another personal favorite of mine, and I'm sure these guys are probably going to have it, which is alternatives. And you can see in this case, let's see if there's anyone that we see. ClickUp probably would be the only one. I mean, they have alternatives for everyone, and basically with an alternative article, it's kind of the same thing as Versus, but this is your chance to steal away people who are either considering that product or they're thinking about leaving their current product. And maybe it's a frustration, maybe the price is too high, they want to see who else is in the market. So when you have an alternative article, that's basically your chance to capture people who are in that consideration stage and saying, this is why you should choose my product over what they're offering. And same thing with the comparison, you're just showing why you would consider yourself to be the better alternative and the best choice to consider. So if I click on this one, you're going to see, okay, we have the top 10 best Bamboo HR alternatives, and then you can probably guess who's going to be number one, and that's ClickUp. So something to consider. They will mention competitors, like who the other alternatives are, but you're going to see in this case the longest and most detailed answer is going to be themselves, and they're just going to tell you like why they're the best alternative. So it's a very easy opportunity right there. And even if you were curious about keyword volume, these are searches that people make. And you can see like Bamboo HR competitors, Bamboo HR alternatives, 100 searches per month. Um, Obviously, you're probably not going to be on the same brand awareness scale as Bamboo HR, but it is something just to consider because you can steal away people who are either existing users of their product or people who are in that consideration stage, kind of hit a roadblock and they're just looking to see who else is in the market. Um, and you can also do the same thing with bets too, which is another bottom of the funnel topic that I just like to go after. And that's usually, let's see, like best HR software for startups, just a random one off the top of my head. Obviously, the running PPC. And you can see that some of their competitors have articles that are dedicated to this. I mean, obviously, they're ranking their service page for this, which is great. But you're going to have other articles where people are talking about the best options for like that specific type of product or solution. And you can see right here, I'm looking for an example of someone who's doing this, and I guess Smart would be the best case, even though they're not really ranking that well for this keyword. Um, Best HR tools for startups and SMBs in 2024. And we have the winner of the award goes to iSmart Recruit. So it's kind of the same thing when they're in that consideration stage. And this one might be even more awareness. Like they're really just seeing who's in the market, who would be the best type of product for what they're looking for. I mean, they're already problem aware. They already know that they need a software. They need HR software startup. And now this is kind of your chance to position yourself as that best category option for that type of search. And then that's why we start with the bottom up, because once they hit that spot, once they realize that maybe they considered iSmart Recruit to be the best option, then they're going to go to the next step. They're going to check out iSmart Recruit reviews. If they have shitty reviews, then they're going to move to the next step, and maybe it's iSmart alternatives, and then they want to consider alternatives because they didn't like the reviews they saw. And then finally, maybe they found another alternative that they want to consider, and then that alternative is going to turn into iSmart Recruit versus that competitor. So once you start from the bottom up, then you can have everything set, so everything falls into place once everything's set, basically. And I also touched on this a little bit, but now if we're so we have all of those bottom of the funnel topic ideas, best category content, comparison content, alternative content. Then we want to move to the next stage, which is the middle of the funnel. This is really when we'll be able to take that product-led approach and kind of like capitalize on those pain points that we researched earlier. Um, so from my experience, if you ever want any inspiration for how you should do product-led content, Ahrefs is always going to be the best option here. And even if someone's looking to do how to do keyword research, I mean, that's a pretty easy one. They're just looking to learn how they can improve their keyword research process, what they're doing wrong, what they should be doing. So if you come here, this is an excellent example of product-led content. And you can see this page gets over 12,000 clicks per month. That's monthly. Um, and when you come to this article, what is keyword research? Why is keyword research important? How to find keyword ideas? They're going to use their product to show you how to do all of this. So see what competitors, keywords or competitors are ranking for. So they're showing you these are the keywords that your competitors are ranking for in Ahrefs. So not only are they targeting this kind of like middle of the funnel topic, that's how to or this kind of like pain point oriented topic, they're also using it as an opportunity to pitch their product. So not only with bottom of the funnel, you can convert your audience, but this can also be a great way to boost consideration with your audience too. Like now, you're basically giving them more ammunition to consider your product. And these are all of the features that they have. So if I'm considering an SEO research tool, and maybe I'm currently using one, but I'm just trying to see how I should be doing keyword research. Maybe I want to find out more about site crawls or what my competitors are doing. I'm going to keep doing these searches, and over time, I'm going to see, okay, Ahrefs can do this, Ahrefs can do this, Ahrefs can do this. And over time, you're eventually going to consider, okay, maybe Ahrefs is that better alternative that I'll want to consider. But really, when you're focusing on middle of the funnel, you don't want to shy away from how you're pitching your product. So don't make it entirely about yourself. Don't try to make it sound like you're the best product out there, but at least be helpful with your content. Show them how exactly they can use your product for the specific pain point, and really just focus on being helpful. Don't focus on selling. You can see in Ahrefs, like they're not constantly saying like get started with us, like contact us today. Like it's all very helpful content showing you exactly how to use their how to use their software. And that's basically every image you're going to see is how you can use their software. So you're not telling them to sign up for your software. You're showing them why they should be signing up for your software. So something really, really small but really important to keep in mind: show, not tell. Give as much information away as possible. Create the best content you can. Be as helpful as you can, and the rest will basically fall into place. And Basically, that's mostly what you want to keep in mind. I will mention if you either have a healthcare related SaaS, if you have a SaaS that's kind of in the fintech industry, you also want to consider link building your money or your life. Basically, that's another set of guidelines that Google considers to measure whether your content is trustworthy or not. Obviously, link building is important in every element of SEO, but specifically if you're in that your money or your life category, and if you even do a search to see what industries fall under your money or your life, it's usually finance, medicine, and current events. You just want to make sure that all the content you create is accurate, and link building can kind of boost that authority, because in this sense, Google is going to view your content a different set of lens compared to like an ed tech product or um, an HR tech product. Like if you are in that finance industry or healthcare, you basically have to factor in your money or your life, which is basically showing that your content is trustworthy, it's accurate, and that Google can trust you and show your content to others without it affecting people that are reading their content. Because one, they can get in trouble for it, and two, why would they want to show content to people that can basically affect their financial well-being or their actual health? So something to consider. Just make sure your content is always in line, because that is something that really can impact you here. But really, the focus of this video was on content for the most part. So just to sum it up, since if you're focusing on SEO, just make sure you start with audience research. Once you move to content, just make sure you start with those bottom of the funnel topics, work your way up to middle of the funnel, target those pain points, and then ultimately, just make sure your product led too. Don't be afraid to talk about your product. Just be specific and helpful as possible, and the rest will fall into place. SEO doesn't have to be complicated. So if you follow all those tips, like even just the as general as they may be, the rest will basically fall into place.